Which one of us? Because we've both had so many issues through the years. I guess mine are more recent, but Bill had some issues in 2011, or no, it was 2010. But my issues were more like 2020, 2023, I guess. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just trying to kind of watch my diet, and they've got me on the meds that you need to be on, and I think it's all going to work out fine. Hopefully.
It's just one of those things like once it gets out there, it's like invariably the beginning of every single conversation, including this one, right?
Yeah. How are you feeling? And to me, it's like I just kind of, I've made adjustments, but my lifestyle continues, with a few adjustments. And I wasn't really living a like crazy lifestyle before in terms of health wise. But so I think I was, trying to do the exercise, trying to do the diet, probably not fully successfully, but I just have a huge genetic component to heart disease. My dad had 3 open heart surgeries, and my grandfather died of a heart attack at age 45. So I just probably, it's one of those things like, am I going to be the monk who never does anything? Or, and that's what it would have taken to not have this happen. I don't know, but I just try to do better now.
Are you how soon can we get back on the road guy in the hospital?
Well, yeah, especially because we had to cancel that entire tour. It was a whole European tour that never got off the ground. And boy, did I feel like a schmuck after that, and so we got back to the States, and we did a few shows about a month and a half later or so. And then we just got right back into what we were doing, so now we're back up to full speed, 2 years later.
Yeah. I might have a different take on this. Milo has always been the healthiest of the 4 of us. He's always been very athletic. He was in running and track and field in high school, always active, always health conscious, always eating right. So when he had a heart attack, it was just like, if I would have bet you $1 million that Milo would be the one person in the band to never have a heart attack. So it came as a big surprise, and he was already kicking total ass, and now he's kicking even more ass. And me, I had some very serious life-threatening illnesses, but right now I am in the best physical condition that I've been in 25 years. So yeah, we did 92 shows last year. Let's go.
Something that people can't see at home is that Bill is currently doing laps around his house for some reason.
Well, I'm gonna get my 2 miles in right now.
Genetic predisposition you can't fuck with.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Bill, I mean, you and not that Milo's job isn't physical, but like, I mean, I have to assume that you have the most physically taxing job of the bunch.
I think they all are in different ways. The drums, it's from a kind of an obtuse, obvious perspective. Yeah, the drums are the most physical, but try singing a whole show. See how you feel when you're done. And with the guitar too, just all of that intense, heavy fretting, and then of course the right arm with the downstrokes in honor of our heroes, James Williamson, Mick Ronson, Johnny Ramone, Greg Ginn.
What, Mick Ronson was a downstroker?
Well, like Hang On to Yourself in Suffragette City, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I feel like he was a forebearer.
All right.
Yeah.
I assume, though, like that's got to be a big part of the conversation for you when you have a health scare, too, is like, how quickly can I get back into this? And is this something that I can, consistently do? Because like even when you're younger, like touring is incredibly taxing on your body.
Yeah, well, we've tried to make it not as crazy as it was in the 80s and 90s. I mean, we were back in in a van back then, or like a tiny little Dodge Ram van or whatever. And you're just, who's driving? And it's one of the band members, and you're driving at night. So we try to take the steps so that when we get on stage, we're not taxed by some other thing of touring. Like touring should be like something where you can bring 100% of your energy onto the stage. So you do to take the steps where you can do that and not and like sleep's such an important one. We all just have to get enough sleep. And so, traveling in a bus, you sleep on the bus. It works out pretty well. So I think as you get older, you're basically focusing on like, how much of this energy can I conserve and put on stage? And sometimes, like for example, we have shows where there's we have a lot of guests because we're playing hometown or whatever. And then you just got to be like, okay, guess what? I'm not going to be around to entertain you people. I'm going to go be in my bunk catching some Z's. Because otherwise the show's going to blow, So you got to make the sacrifices to put all the energy on stage.
When you're a kid, you don't need to sleep. Teenager, young adult, at some point, let's say it's 30, 35. You really start to find out that you actually do need that good night's sleep that your grandma and your mom told you to get. You need it, if you really, otherwise, you do what we often do, which is I've been known to drink between 10 and 15 espresso before we play. So, whatever gets the job done. But I mean, like, as far as our health, we're killing it. I mean, I'm at the gym 5 days a week. The doctor that saved my life, the doctor that you see in the Filmage movie, he's become one of my best friends. I'm on a schedule with him of exercising, resistance training. And we're just, when I stayed down with Milo while he was in the hospital in Barcelona, as soon as he got out of there, we practically ran to the beach. He was walking so fast, I couldn't keep up with him. This is a man that had a heart attack and is just out of the hospital. We walked from the hospital to the beach, and I couldn't even keep up with him. Then we swam for a while, a little body surfing, a little swimming, and then we walked to get food, and it was like the most unexpected thing in the world. Milo's the last person in the world to have a heart attack.
You don't feel like you're pushing yourself too hard, though, like immediately out of the gate there, Milo?
Oh, well, this was 2 years ago for one thing, but also, they put you through cardio rehab. I did the rehab and they put you on the treadmill.
You didn't rip off the diodes and jump and just run down to the beach.
No. I went through cardio rehab, and that was some of the best kicking of my ass that I've had in a while. And it felt really good to just to get pushed like that to that level on like a treadmill, where they're just basically having you, exercise to basically collapse, and they're doing that pretty soon after you get out of the hospital, because they're like, we got to strengthen your heart back up. I mean, it turns out I didn't need my heart to be strengthened back up. It was still strong. I mean, I now have a stent in there, but because it was a mild heart attack and because it was just a stent and not open heart, I think my recovery was a lot quicker, and I could just go into that cardio rehab and just be like, yeah, let's go. And that was fun.
I was reading an interview that Bill was doing, and he mentioned like that you got it cleared out, and that you can maybe sing better or sing more like you used to be able to sing because that valve got cleared.
I mean, it's weird. Before I had the heart attack, I was feeling like I didn't have as much air, like I didn't have as much air to give to a particular vocal line or whatever. And then, when I got back into it afterwards, like, oh man, that's gotten better. And, maybe it could just be subjective, but it felt like that there was possibility that I was compromised. But the thing is even though I was compromised, I was still doing all of my normal exercise before the heart attack, walking 5 miles or whatever it is that I would do. And so it was a bit of a surprise even to me, like, wait, I'm still exercising and stuff. But it just goes to show you, you got to do exercise, and then you got to watch your diet as well. My diet had gotten a little skanky in my diet, and just also the genetics, and also the idea of like, well, let's go exercise. Yeah, you can go on a walk, or you can go kick ass and get your heart rate up to 180 or whatever, and do that for half an hour. And that those two things are not equivalent, obviously. So I'm just trying to do more of that.
I'm guessing when it comes to the old songs, maybe there's only so much you can do in terms of actually like changing it up, but you can probably change your approach. You can probably as you get older, maybe learn more traditional or different techniques that are not as sort of taxing on your body. Is that fair?
I think we both have versions of that. Bill can go through his, but my version of it is just to learn how to sing without, bellowing, like I'm just going to be out there just like going, I don't want to sing like that all the time because I want to keep my voice. And you kind of learn how to sing aggressively, but like, but not basically harsh your voice out all the time. And that plus, like I said, the sleeping and the hydration, you just learn all these techniques as you go along. And I never really paid much attention to those techniques, but I sure as hell am now. So, but Bill can talk about the drumming.
I've been doing my same stretches since I was 19 years old. I could call it yoga, but that would be to aggrandize it. I've just been doing my same stretches since I was 19. It takes me about 30 minutes to go through them all. And the stretches serve me well, like to warm up for the show. Over the years, I've learned just some tricks in terms of the ergonometry of it, of the drumming. I know how to not waste energy. I know how to put the right energy in the right spots. So it's kind of weird. I play much harder and much softer at the same time. Meaning I don't waste energy on like ridiculously hard hits that just choke the tone of the drums out. But I never hit my drums softly enough to where you can't hear them. So this has been the in-ear monitors helped a lot with this, and me being able to really refine my technique to where now when you listen to a live tape of us now, it really, really sounds, not perfect, but I mean, it sounds much, much better than when we were younger.
It takes a lot of patience at 19 years old to do that for 30 minutes, and you have to be very conscientious. I mean, certainly like most 19-year-olds aren't thinking about the toll that this is going to take.
The thing is, I was cramping and I couldn't play the material. And so one day I had a day off. This was in Black Flag. I had a day off and I was cramping and kind of complaining about the cramping. And Kira went downstairs from the hotel to this used bookstore and got me this stinking little brown page yoga leaflet for 50p or £1. And she said, okay, look, you get on the floor, and I'll sit here and read the book and tell you what the positions are. Like I'll kind of guide you through it by reading the book. And so, I learned those poses. They're just stretches. That's all they are. I learned those stretches, and then as soon as I had done them for like a week, I was like, oh, great, I'm playing way better now. So it's like, well, I better keep doing them. And now I'm still doing them. And I've added to them, and I've made up a couple of my own stretches that they look funny when I'm doing them, but they sure help me keep my agility.
Can I mention Dio? Because you always
mention Dio. Yeah, Milo right now, like on the last tour we did, Milo he's stronger, better, his pitch is better, but also he's more reliable. Milo's a guy that's been known to lose his voice now and again. Yeah. But we just did 5 weeks in Europe and he never lost his fucking voice the whole time. Yeah, tell him.
Well, so what I do is, I used to do warm-ups where you kind of go, me, 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 and you vocalize different kind of vowel sounds and you go up the scale.
Like classic.
Yeah. And I just got really bored with it. It's like, what's going on with this? It's like, I'd rather just sing songs. But then the question is, if you want to sing songs, what songs are you going to sing? And I can sing my own, I can sing our songs and that gets me up to the right range. But what if I sang songs where I go above my range? And that's where Dio comes in, because Dio kicks butt and he can sing way above where I can. And so I started with his song Rainbow in the Dark, which goes way high. I can't even sing it in the key that it was written in. And when they transposed it down for him a full step so that he could sing it on stage in his later years, I go, well, that's it for me then. I'm singing Dio's Rainbow in the Dark a half step down from where it's recorded. and it gets me up there. And I had so much fun doing it that I started incorporating other Dio. Now I do like about 3 or 4 Dio songs, all as a warm up before I go on. And it's kind of like, the batter who he's on deck and he's waiting to go to bat and he's got that donut on his bat. So I put a donut on my bat before I go out to play, because I can get above the notes that I normally sing, and it gives you that confidence and just that vocal stretch to know that you can just go on stage and now sing something like within my range of what we normally do. So that's
one of the last shows we just did on this last run. We were both in the shower room, and he was doing his warm downs, and which is Smiths or Morrissey. And I said to him in the shower there, I said, warm up with Dio, warm down with Morrissey. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
This is kind of an ignorant question. What is a warm down?
Warm down is just kind of like, you're returning your voice to like your normal speaking voice. Because when I'm out there singing, I'm just in such a higher register than what you actually speak in. You know what I mean? And so the idea is that, Morrissey had that kind of rich but deeper voice, and it gets me down into that range where I'm not like blasting it out. It's a kind of like you're kind of putting the voice back where it needs to be, basically.
It almost like that kind of singing, it's almost like it soothes the voice after a hard evening of punk rock.
Yeah, exactly.
I would assume that the last thing that I would want to do after singing all night is more singing, but
well, it's you definitely just like I get off stage, it's like, okay, I just want to crack a beer and be done. But then there's all these, we now have a series of rituals, all of us. And I mean, any musician's going to have these, the rituals you do before, the rituals you do after. And a lot of my rituals are just about vocal preservation. So after the gig, if there's a shower available, I go straight from the stage into a nice hot shower. And that's where I would sing Morrissey. And it's a way of then, getting you're lubricating the vocals, you're hydrating your vocal with the shower, and you're just kind of like bringing your voice back down. And it's some of the stuff, maybe wives' tale, maybe not, it may be whatever you call it, witchcraft.
Not wives' tale, no way.
Okay.
Hey, and I just
Placebo, yeah.
I just got an idea, Milo. Next tour, pick a couple Doors songs.
I've done those. Yeah.
Because Morrison's got that nice soothing voice too.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Sinatra.
Yeah, Sinatra. Yeah.
Screaming Trees.
Yeah. Do some Mark Lanigan.
Well, I guess people will know now, but that when you go see a Descendents show, that there's too many shows happening before and after two full cover shows happening.
Well, it's funny because it's like before I'm in the warm up box doing my warm ups with my donut, and afterwards I hit the showers. So it's this whole like sports thing, like we're athletes up there or something. Yeah.
You mentioned like, okay, when the show's done, that's the last thing you want to do. So it's the same with the stretches. When I'm done playing, the last thing I want to do is like 15 minutes of yoga. But that's exactly what I do, because when you're warm, when you're sweaty, when you're hot, when your blood's moving, you can stretch so much further. You can get way deeper stretches. And then it's kind of like, what do they say? It was ridden hard and put away wet. Like if you
sounds gross. Is that sexual or what? I don't know.
If you put your muscles away, already stretched, already relaxed, and then you go to sleep in that condition, you allow them to be in better shape for tomorrow.
It's interesting. A lot of people I'll talk to who have been doing it for a while and, didn't necessarily do training or formal classes when they started, like at some point in their career will take courses. But it sounds like the both of you have really just figured out these tricks and kind of really sort of cobbled together your own way of doing things over the years.
Yeah, you pick up stuff. Like I did take a lesson and that was helpful because it got me thinking about the mechanics of like what they call the head voice and the singing from the mask, and that is stuff that I'm mindful of when I'm doing my Dio warm up, is to be where am I singing from. And so that's you pick up something like that. You pick up things from different people all along the way. I think Bill was the first guy that said, "Hey, dude, hydrate and sleep. Hydrate and sleep." And then the warm up is something that I just knew I knew I had to do. But then also, the idea of singing songs as opposed to like all the scales. I mean, that's something that Rise Against does, that Grath does, so I got that kind of from him. Well, I guess Bill told me that that's what he does, so I picked it up from him and thought, well, I could just be singing songs instead of scales. And it does. The thing about scales is you can kind of wimp out. You're doing a scale and you're wimping. You're kind of like singing all wimpy because you're trying to be all me. But if you sing a song and you sing a Dio song, you can't wimp out on Dio. You got to give it.
Russ from Good Riddance, he always warms up singing Pogue's songs.
Yeah.
Which I love because it's just fun to hear those songs.
Yeah.
And that's how he warms up. Yeah. He doesn't do the me.
Yeah.
And then you can wimp out singing a Morrissey song, but it's not a problem because that's the
afterwards. Yeah. I don't want to warm up to Dio. I'm not going to be warming up to Dio. I'm sorry. I'm not going to warm up to Morrissey. Yeah.
Ultimately, the coffee comes to bear more than all this other shit we're talking about.
Well, not for the singing. For the singing.
It's funny, like, because it occurs to me as you're saying that the Bill's advice for you is like hydrate and sleep. I mean, that's just like a funny thing in life. These things that are like very obvious to us, but sometimes somebody still has to tell us these like very basic life lessons.
Well, yeah, because those are the two hardest things sometimes to happen on the road. Sleep is hard to come by sometimes on the road, and it turns out that's the most important. If that's the most important thing, then touring just became that much more of a challenge. But you got to make it happen. And then hydration, that's something that doesn't come naturally to me, but I got to do it. So yep.
Dwell on this anymore, but as I've talked to people about sort of like health scares that they've had in the past. Is this idea of getting to a point in your life where you're no longer taking things for granted, but like it strikes me that following you guys, I don't know that there's ever necessarily been a point in your careers when you've taken things for granted. I mean, it seems like this has really just been a pretty constant for both of you.
Well, I mean,
speaking for myself, like there are no geniuses in my family, my heritage, and there are no extraordinary musicians or even any musicians that I know of in my family. So speaking personally, whatever this is that we've managed to cobble together for ourselves, my part of it was done by the sweat of my brow and a little bit of stubborn persistence.
Yeah, I mean the thing, if you think about the kind of the toil extended all the way through a bunch of times where I quit the band. So I mean there had to be toiling.
It kind of became a theme for the Descendents like almost immediately, it seems to me.
But but let's define the toil. Milo was talking about, like, for years we would play shows in a given week on tour. Like half the shows would be, under 40 people. And then like a couple of the shows a week, there would literally be 5 people there. So it was just, when he's saying toiling, it's like, it seemed like, okay, this isn't going to work, but like, we don't really care if it quote works. We just want to do it because it has to be done. We have to do this. We want to do this. And so at the time I don't think we saw it as much as toiling, but when you look back on it, it was sure as hell was.
It was fun. It was fun toil that was fun, basically. Yeah.
Could totally be off on this, but again, like it seems like, Bill, like for you, like this is something that you like, this is what you are going to do. You're going to do this with some group of people. Milo, you saw maybe maybe music wasn't necessarily going to be your future, or, maybe it was worth trying something else. Obviously, this is a very difficult road to go down.
Let's be honest. Music's below him. He's a scientist.
I don't know about that. That says that somehow music is below me because I've mastered it. I am so far from mastering anything resembling music. Music is actually the one thing that I'll never really feel like. I'll always feel like a fish out of water in music, really, because I never really kind of developed any chops for it. But so
here we are.
Yeah, so it's definitely not something below me. I mean, it's something that it's something that we some of the times when I was quitting. I was quitting because it was so something I felt like I don't belong here, or there's no way that I can master this, and therefore I'm just going to go be a scientist because that's something I feel I can do better. So
yeah,
it's not,
you're inclined there. Like with me, it was okay. I'm gonna make this happen, or I have to go work at McDonald's. Whereas with you, it was like, I can make this happen, or I can be a scientist.
Yeah.
Songwriting seems like you guys were pretty much songwriters out of the gate as well.
Almost out of the gate, yeah.
I mean, we had the nice thing about, like, so when I joined, we had 3 songwriters already in the band, and I just kind of thought, well, there's all these songs pre-done. I'm just going to sing those. And so a lot of, the Fatty P and the most of Milo Goes to College was all their songs. And I just at that point I was trying to learn. I was taking baby steps to try to learn how to write a song myself. But
we had a good green pasture for possibility, because right down the street from us was Joe Nolte from the band The Last. And Joe Nolte really, I mean, not to overgeneralize, but Joe Nolte provided, certainly me, and I think I speak for Milo as well.
Oh, yeah.
He provided us with the blueprint for like how to write a proper ass song.
For you, Milo, what did that entail?
Well, I mean, we grew up listening to Beatles, and so I always felt like, with punk rock, like, man, I love these bands like Black Flag, Germs, X, but then how do I fit the Beatles into that? Or just like I wanted to be more like the Beatles than a punk band was allowed to be, or something.
Yeah, at least a little more melody.
Yeah, a little more melody. And of course I loved the Buzzcocks too, and they were doing it already. And I thought, well, okay, maybe we could do something like that. And then the last kind of, provided that kind of wait, they're doing it. Cause they were doing, like Beatles-esque kind of stuff, but like with a lot of aggression to it as well. And I felt like, well, that's kind of maybe that's something that, we could do too. So they were just inspirations, really. They inspired us to kind of look for melodies and to try to conjure up melodies that were, fun, that were interesting, and like that gave us, that it allowed us to express our emotions, basically. So that's kind of where the Last came into it. And I think initially when you try to write songs, if you're coming from at square one, you don't necessarily hit on the best melodies right off the bat, but you eventually
hit Yesterday right out of the gate.
No, you're not going to do that. Or maybe you never do that. You probably never do that. But I mean, I think eventually I tried to kind of write some melodies that were a little more, interesting and not just, oh, I'm going to follow the chords or whatever. Because initially I was just kind of like, oh, here are this is what the chords are doing. I'm just going to have a melody that does that, which is pretty standard, but maybe we can make it more interesting.
You put it in a really interesting way, and I kind of want to pull this apart a little bit. You said something like more melodic than a punk band was allowed to be. And I'm wondering if you meant just from the standpoint of like what other people were doing, or from the standpoint of what people wanted out of you and what the audience was looking for at the time.
Yeah, I guess there was such an emphasis on aggression and maybe political commentary or whatever, or just, I don't think people were spending as much time, constructing melodies or just, thinking about that. It may have there may have actually been some notion of like, that's so, 60s sounding or whatever. That's so retro and we're not going to do that. But I mean,
it's our parents' music.
Yeah. And I didn't really, I don't really know why that didn't exist at that time so much.
But when we came into it, Frank had already written 20 or 25 songs that had melody in them, but that were clearly, within the kind of the punk rock spirit.
Yeah. Yep. Genius.
It's funny because like the Ramones were kind of writing doo-wop songs. So like, at the end of the day,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they definitely, they along them and the Buzzcocks, I think still had a really huge pop sensibility. And, I think we kind of fit in with that same.
Yeah. But then like, so did X
too. Yeah. Yeah. X as well. So it wasn't like it didn't exist.
So did the Go-Go's. I mean, I remember seeing the Go-Go's when I was 15, and the Go-Go's that the world knows is a pop band.
Yep.
But the Go-Go's I grew up with was a punk band with melodic songs. They were very much like the Descendents. But ahead of us. Those are proper songs they were writing.
Yeah. It's the thing. I think the thing that so we had bands that were doing that, and then we had the more quote hardcore bands that China White or Bloodstained, or sorry, Agent Orange, that were doing more of just a hardcore thing, and so I think we were just kind of straddling that kind of area where we wanted to play fast. So it was like, let's play fast. Oh, but let's play with some melody, and is the thing.
Because I remember thinking, it's like if we play too pretty or too slow, like X-Head's gonna beat us up.
Yeah.
So it was. I know that's ridiculous, but at the time it wasn't ridiculous. It was fucking true.
We wanted to play, and you had the bad brain. I mean,
if bands had a keyboard, like X-Head's gonna hit them over the head with their own keyboard.
Yeah. But like the Bad Brains' first single, "Pay to Come," came out, and I remember someone brought it to school, and we played it on some video or one of those like machines at school where you'd watch slideshow, but they'd have like a record player. So it had a record
like an
player.
Overhead.
Yeah, or like it had a record player with it or whatever. And someone put it on that, and we've listened to the Bad Brains on that, and it was just, and I was just like, I think we were all just like jaw dropped, like, what is going on with this?
Dude, it was the same for me. Spot came back from DC on I don't know what he was doing out there. I can't remember. But he came back from DC, and I met him at Media Art, and we were hanging out, and he's literally unpacking, and he pulls this 7-inch single out of his guitar case, and he goes, "Listen to this." And it was the Pay to Come. It was Pay to Come. And I had never heard of the Bad Brains. None of us had. And it was like, you said jaw drop. I'll never forget that. And it was cool because it was at Media Art, which is where like Jealous Again and Nervous Breakdown were recorded, and Ride the Wild was recorded there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was it was truly just a moment.
Yeah, so then like they dropped the gauntlet, and it was like, okay, we got to start playing fast. We got to drink more coffee. That's what it really came down to. We got to drink more coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the Bad Brains were doing. They were drinking a lot of coffee.
Yes, I don't know. Who knows?
I wonder if to a certain extent the fact that everybody was writing from the beginning and continues to, I know I was listening to something Bill was talking about for, even stuff you're working on now that everyone is still writing, that kind of kept you friends, and that kept the band together because everybody really had that creative input from the outset.
Like everybody's got a fairly equal amount of skin in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and stuff like, so I went down to school down to college, and in '85, Bill, I kind of, I hadn't lost touch with Bill. We hadn't talked in a while, probably months. We hadn't talked, and we were kind of like, well, you're not we're not in the same band anymore, so we're going to go our separate ways. But then he said, "Hey, I got these new songs," and I go, "Oh, okay. I think I got a few too. I mean, I need to still work on them or whatever." But he played me his new songs, and all of a sudden, it was like the whole thing's rekindled, and it was like the music came in between us, and it almost just kind of solidified the bond. I mean, the bond is never broken, but that was a situation where I was just like, man, this guy, he's got these great songs, and I think we just, for me, that's kind of like indicative of where the music actually can fuel the friendship as well. And so, I think that's how I felt about our friendship, is that it's kind of like an unbreakable friendship, but also it's a friendship that is, I'd say, spurred on by creativity as well. And the fact that we can, share songs back and forth and share music. It's a kind of a great thing.
In a funny way, too, I wonder if like having broken up a couple times has also kept you close. That's what breaks up bands, is not knowing when to take a break, when to take a breather.
Yeah,
well, that could be true from Milo's perspective, but like we never stopped.
That's true. Yeah, of course.
And we weren't touring as Descendents; we were touring as All, which is just one different member. So we never stopped.
That's a fair point. So you guys you're writing again. It's you're going to be putting out stuff.
Yeah,
Milo's putting on a second pair of glasses.
We've got a lot of stuff recorded already. We've got maybe 2/3 of it recorded and mixed already, but we're just waiting for a few more songs. It's probably I'm probably holding us up the most, because I just I've been slow to get my songs in a position where I'm happy enough with them to bother to record them and put them out there in the world. So yeah, we got to do a new record. It's 2/3 of the way done. We need to record 8 or 9 more, and then we'll be solid.
Are you more of a perfectionist than you used to be?
That word is. It would be easy for me to say, well, yeah, I'm taking a long time with my songs, but I'm a perfectionist. But it's not that. It's just, let's put it this way. My expectations musically, and this isn't just with myself, I mean, this is just kind of what I expect out of music or out of a song. My expectations have grown in such a way that they're not, like, they're incongruous with my abilities as a writer. So everything I write, I immediately start shooting holes in it and saying that it's like, okay, well, this is fine enough. This is fine enough for some entry level band, or like if this was 35 years ago, yeah, this would have gone on I Don't Want to Grow Up. But is it the best thing that you can do right now and where your life is right now? And so I just kind of torture myself, and I'm not a perfectionist. It's just my expectations have exceeded my abilities. But and when I'm producing records too, at the studio, at the blasting room, when I'm producing bands, I have the same problem, which is they send me demos. Let's say they want to do a 15-song album, so they send me 20 songs of demos, and I listen, and I don't. This isn't me being arrogant or me being elitist or anything like that, but I listen, and more and more, I'm underwhelmed by what I hear. There'll be maybe, like, if they send me 20 songs, there'll be maybe 4 or 5 that I think are worthy of, wasting time with. And the other ones, I don't feel they're worthy of that. And so it's the same in that arena as it is with, like, me judging my own songs. It's like, what would Cole Porter tell you, Bill, if he was sitting here right now? Or, what would John Doe and
Your standard is Cole Porter.
well, yeah. I mean, or what would John
Give it
Doe
up, man. Give it up.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to give it up. Or what would John Doe and Exene tell you if they heard your song, even like that, Or what would Darby tell you? Or what would Joe Nolte from The Last tell you if he heard this song? And I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know. What do you call that? It's not exactly imposter syndrome, because I'm not trying to impersonate anything or be a fake. It's just, I don't know. It probably is Cole Porter. Probably should have never gotten into him, because
I mean, there's
it's Cole Porter or the Beatles. I mean, you're both kind of shooting pretty high here.
The thing about music, though, is music is made to emote. Music is made for one to emote, and it's made to conjure emotions in other. And anything that he's been saying has nothing to do with that. I mean, he's rationalizing. He's rationalizing songwriting, but songwriting is intrinsically emotional in terms of what you put into it and what the effect is on the listener. And that to me is like, I mean, I write songs and I feel they satisfy me emotional, and they're probably not the best songs ever, but they satisfy me emotionally. I just kind of go with it. But and this is not me trying to kind of give Bill a way out, but I'm just saying, if it's something where it sparks some kind of feeling in you that's satisfying, or some kind of not even satisfying, some kind of feeling that needs to come out, then maybe that's all. Maybe that's a high enough bar. I mean, it should be a high enough bar in my world.
Sure, but I think what Bill's getting at, and I think it's admirable, is you always want to push yourself, and you always want to try to do better than last time.
Yeah.
My sort of outlook on songwriting, it also, like, it has reared its evil head retroactively as well. So this isn't just me thinking about what's going on moving forward. This is also me, like a lot of a common interview question will be like, well, what is your favorite song that you've ever written? And then I start thinking about it, and I go, well, honestly, most of this is just kind of trite high school poetry.
I think it might all be terrible, actually, now that you ask me.
And it's like, I mean, I could think of a few. There's a few that I'm pretty proud of, but they're so few and far between that it's like, dude, you gotta do better than this. Like, you have to. There's and then there's like these angels and devils on my back too. Okay, There's this guy, which is Bukowski once said, it's 5 words, but it means everything. He said, when inspiration wanes, form appears. And you'll notice with a lot of your favorite bands, as they got to be better and better players, better and better, making better records, better sounding records, better arrangers, better players, better vocalists, better drummers, all those things. As they got to be all that, the really great songs are kind of behind them already. They're not writing great songs. They're playing the hell out of and recording the hell out of these kind of mediocre songs. And so that when inspiration wanes, form appears. That I always have that leaking on my shoulder. But then I also have this guy right here said something that really, really, okay.
Oh, he's showing you a picture of something.
Can you see Ornette Coleman?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Ornette Coleman, so Dexter Gordon, he punched Ornette Coleman in the face, busted his lip up. And he told Ornette Coleman, he said, you're ruining jazz. You're making it so people don't want to come see us with all that noise you're playing and all those weird chords. And he, with bloody lip, just said to Dexter Gordon, he said, well, the whole quote is, he said, Bird would have understood what we're doing. Bird is Charlie Parker.
Yeah, of course.
He said, Bird would have understood what we were doing. And then what he said is this: we as artists have a responsibility to aspire to more than what we inherited. And so, then you got that looming over your shoulder. And then you got like mundane stuff looming over your shoulder, like wake up and go, dude, if these songs aren't your best songs ever, you're going to fucking lose your house. You're not going to be able to pay your bills, So it's just like, I should have done a PhD or something. Music should have just stayed a hobby. And so, I could just wake up and go, oh, hey, this sounds good together. Oh, cool.
You would be in a lab somewhere wishing you were still playing the drums, right?
No, what I'm saying is, if I was pulling down like a Milo-sized salary as a scientist, and then I could just do music for fun, that sounds where there's no pressure, no business pressure on it. No agents, no managers, no promoters, no people telling you, or somebody will email me, tell me they need content. Content?
Yeah, I hate that word.
Content? What do you want me to do? Like, I'm not going to,
something to fill the holes.
Yeah, I'm not doing content. And so, or they'll call, there's a bunch of just crowd, they'll call like whatever city you're going to play in or whatever. They call that city, they call it a market. And then the bands that you play with at your show, it's like you're playing with the bands, and there's some other bands that you're playing with. So they call them the main support act and the opening act. And it's like, man, I bet you these bands don't like the idea of being called an act, first of all. And it's like, just because they're playing the show with us and they're going on before we are, do we have to qualify that as some lowly thing? Like, it's just like all that gross stuff, and if music was just a hobby, then, I wouldn't have any of that baggage.
I'm curious, because like ostensibly, I think we're here talking about.
Oh, wait, and they call like this, like, how many people came to this show? Those are heads or bodies. Heads or bodies. It's like, this is so gross. So you're ruining my life.
You should only the fire marshals should be referring to them as bodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, we're kind of here, and we are ostensibly talking about the re-releases, the anniversary albums, and I'm curious. There have been a lot of points in your career. I mean, I was a teenager. I saw you guys at Warped Tour when Everything Sucks came out. I still have the vinyl from that show. There have been a lot of points that you've had where you kind of had the opportunity or have had to kind of go back and like listen to the early stuff. I don't know, and relearn it. But I'm curious, this process of reissuing, whether going back and listening to that, you called it like angsty teenage poetry, has an impact on the stuff that you're writing now.
Well, we tend to write about our current lives. I mean, I'm not going to write a song about about my girlfriend or whatever. And so, but I think, for as much as the 17-year-old experiences frustration of these subjects, I experience frustration in new subjects, and I try to kind of express that frustration on these newer topics. So it kind of goes on. I think we're not. I don't think our music is relegated just to teen subjects. And so. I think when we play live, of course, we can play all those old songs, but we can play new stuff that expresses what we're involved in right now. Like, so that keeps it current.
I'll never forget. I was with my studio partner, Jason Livermore. And he was mixing One More Day, and song I wrote about my father and taking care of him and his passing away and whatever. And I remember Jason just says to me, he says, going for the over 40 crowd on this one, huh? And I just thought, yeah, see, you're part of the problem, Jason. You think I'm gonna write, am I gonna write songs about a 16-year-old girl or whatever? I'm not gonna do that. Or am I gonna use all those horribly cruel, outdated slangs that we used to use and all that? I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna pretend to be anybody, at all. I'm just gonna be me.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with growing as a person, and if that means using words you didn't used to use, then that's perfectly fine, I think.
Or not using words you used to use.
Yeah.
I think,
That's more of the issue. Yeah.
it's like, you know what? I mean, at least I've learned a lot along the way.